Today's hearing is about competency, corruption, and cover-up within the Biden administration.
What happens when elected leaders stop showing up? When those with power refuse to defend themselves, while children go missing, federal law gets bent, and faith gets slandered? This isn't a scandal, it's a reckoning. This isn't just politics. It hits every American right where it counts: truth, trust, and responsibility. Alright, let's talk about what actually happened this week. On June 18, 2025, Senator Chuck Grassley opened a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing, one aimed squarely at the Biden administration's competence, integrity, and potential cover-ups. But here's the kicker: not a single Democrat showed up. No rebuttals. No defenses. Nothing. Now, imagine you're accused of wrongdoing, and you skip your own hearing. What message does that send? This isn't some cable news stunt. This is about the FBI being used to investigate political enemies. About Catholic families being profiled. About over 65,000 reports of vulnerable migrant children, including over 7,000 trafficking alerts, being buried in bureaucratic silence. This hearing didn't just expose corruption. It exposed cowardice.
Today's hearing is about competency, corruption, and cover-up within the Biden administration. Simply put, the last administration was rudderless. From one crisis to another, the Biden administration failed and faltered. The partisan media did their best to cover up those failures. Having discussed these issues with my colleagues, Senator Cornyn and Schmidt, who requested to lead this hearing, all of us agreed that this committee must discuss this important matter. An important part of this discussion involves the last administration's weaponization of law enforcement against Trump and his associates, which was done to try and win an election. That, too, they tried to cover up. Since I became chairman of this committee, my investigative work has exposed how weaponization was done. Look at the FBI's Arctic Frost investigation, which ultimately became one of Jack Smith's cases against President Trump, based upon records that I've made public. The case's origin was anti-Trump FBI agent Tebow and his merry band of artisans and partisans. The records indicate that the opening of Arctic Frost was an intentionally designed vehicle by which the Biden administration would ultimately prosecute their primary political opponent, President Trump. Then I made emails public relating to the Biden administration's political investigation into Peter Navarro, Tebow, and his other anti-Trump agent, Walter Giardina, were also involved in that case. Whistleblowers have told me that Special Agent Giardina openly stated his desire to investigate Trump, even if it meant false predication. Whistleblowers have also told me that Jack Smith's deputy, J.P. Cooney, wanted to open more cases on Trump. He allegedly justified using compulsory process to obtain more information merely based upon partisan news outlets. And guess who was also allegedly involved in those communications? Well, that's the same person, Special Agent Walter Giardina. All of this is more evidence of law enforcement weaponization that would have never been the light of day, but for whistleblowers. I'll have more to say about this matter later today in another forum. Then we have the Biden FBI's anti-Catholic Richmond memo. That memo used the shoddy research of the radical Southern Poverty Law Center to accuse traditional Catholics of being violent extremists. Based on the records that I released the other week, There wasn't just one FBI document that used biased anti-Catholic sources, but over a dozen. And more FBI field officers were involved than we'd been led to believe. It wasn't just the Biden and Ray FBI that failed the people. Recently, I released records showing that the Biden Health and Human Services also failed to address the backlog of over 65,000 reports expressing concern for unaccompanied children. This included 7,346 reports related to trafficking. 36 cases have been accepted by U.S. attorneys for prosecution, with 11 arrests and 3 convictions so far. The Biden administration had a responsibility to do right by the American people. By any metric, they failed.
Did you catch that? Grassley didn't hold back, and the silence on the other side was deafening. Let's break this down. 1. The weaponization of justice. Grassley called out what he described as the Arctic Frost investigation, a politically motivated effort led by partisan FBI agents like Thibault and Giagardina. Let's call this what it is: the use of federal law enforcement as a campaign arm. We're not talking about minor misconduct here. This was about manufacturing investigations into a sitting president's political opponent, with what Grassley says was false predication and pressure from partisan news outlets. That's a direct hit to the rule of law. And it destroys public trust. Now ask yourself, if this had been reversed, if Trump had weaponized the DOJ against Biden, would Democrats skip the hearing? Or would they demand blood? 2. Religious profiling, the anti-Catholic memos. Next, the FBI memo scandal. At first, it looked like one isolated memo out of Richmond. Then Grassley drops the hammer: over a dozen internal documents, circulated through multiple field offices, profiling traditional Catholics as violent extremists. Let's be honest. If any administration had profiled a Muslim community, a black church, or a progressive activist group like this, there would be protests in the streets. Rightfully so. But when it's Catholics, when it's traditional values, the media yawns. The Democrats boycott. Apparently, some bigotries are politically acceptable. 3. 65,000 forgotten children. Then came the most gut-wrenching part. Grassley revealed that HHS, under the Biden administration, failed to act on over 65,000 reports of concern about unaccompanied migrant children. 7,346 of those reports were flagged for trafficking. Only 11 arrests. Only 3 convictions. We're talking about children. Vulnerable, voiceless, and used. The same party that claims to defend the marginalized, let this happen on their watch. Where's the compassion now? Where's the outrage? How many families didn't get closure because someone at the top thought silence was politically safer than action? 4. The media's complicity. And let's not forget the 4th player in this scandal, the corporate media. Grassley flat out said it: the partisan media did their best to cover up those failures. And he's not wrong. The same networks that ran 24/7 coverage of anonymous Russiagate leaks now shrug at real, documented abuse. No fact-checking. No panels. No probing. You can't have a free society if the press only investigates one side. 5. The question everyone's afraid to ask. Grassley posed the one question that's been lingering since day one of the Biden presidency. Who is actually running the country? We've all seen the clips. The mental lapses. The vacant stares. The misread teleprompters. Is Biden fit for office? If not, the American people deserve transparency. That's what the 25th Amendment is for. Avoiding the question isn't respectful, it's dangerous. And when the other party boycotts the hearing that could answer it, that's not just obstruction. That's an admission of guilt. So what do we do now? We keep showing up. We keep demanding answers. We honor whistleblowers who risk everything. And we reject the political theater that says silence is strength. Because if they can label Catholics as extremists, bury 65,000 child protection cases, weaponize the FBI, and mock you for caring about it, then this country is not operating under the rule of law anymore. It's operating under the illusion of consent, without the accountability of truth. Have you seen this kind of silence in your own community, maybe at your school board, city council, or even your own workplace? Drop your story in the comments. I read them all. And if you found this eye-opening, click like, hit subscribe, and tap the bell. Because next week, we're connecting this hearing to what's happening with DOJ indictments and the 2026 midterm map. We're just getting started. Stay sharp, stay principled, and stay free.